Hello. Hope that everybody can hear me. Hi, everyone. This is Maria from StealthEX. And actually, we have our guest here already. So today we're joined by Hayden from HOGE team, and it's lovely to have you here. Do you hear me? And is everything okay?
I can hear you loud and clear. Absolutely. Thanks again for having me on. It's always a pleasure.
That's awesome. Actually, the first time it's a kind of funny story because Hayden thought that we were gonna have like a speaking AMA, but it was the text one, but I promised that we're gonna have the live one day. So today it's all coming to life, and I'm really happy it is.
Absolutely. It's coming full circle now, and happy to be here. I have a fat thumb syndrome, so it's not always easy to type. Very familiar in the Twitter Spaces environment, and so good, happy to be here. Um, you
Yeah,
know,
you
like
actually do a lot of like Twitter Spaces lately. I've seen lots on HODGE Twitter as well.
Yeah, well, believe it or not, I do them every Monday and Friday. And like taxes, it's the one thing at HODE you can absolutely count on to start your week and end your week. Whether you like what I have to say or not, it's something that's consistent. And I think it's a little thing that really, makes a big difference in terms of information dissemination, especially when we're in a decentralized community project that's driven, managed, and maintained. It always helps, to have those outlets there to communicate with the community.
Yeah, that's actually very true. Yeah, that's great. We actually it's pretty new format for us. So it's the third space that we're having. The third is with you, and we're getting used to it. And actually, it's been doing really well, and I really like this format as well. So I can relate to the fact that it's a great kind of like medium to connect to the community and like have people asking questions and all of that. So today we're going to tap into both communities. Will it be Hodge and it will be StealthX? And I believe that would be perfectly logical to talk about everything that's been going on in Hodge because I know that it's actually a lot been going on. And it would be great to kind of like catch up and know more about what you have been up to lately.
Yeah, absolutely. I don't know if we want to get into it like this second. Wait a couple minutes for people to come in. Whatever you want. It's your show. You let me know. Um,
Actually, I'm like I'm doing my very bad job trying to tweet it out to like have a normal invitation because like I don't usually use my phone to be on Twitter, and now I'm just trying to like make a normal tweet to invite everybody in. But I see that people are joining, so I believe that they see it. That's a great thing already.
yeah, here, I'll give a little retweet real
Oh
quick.
yeah, thank you very much. Yeah, that's very helpful. Yeah, thank you.
Yep. And then as soon as this one ends, then we got our Monday AMA, right at the top of the hour here. So we're going to go back to back here today.
Oh yeah, you have one today, right?
Hmm.
Right. So very cool. Everybody can like actually get into another one after this one. That's handy.
Yes, I'm going to need a lot of water. That's for sure today.
Oh yeah, that's true. Okay, so I believe that people are joining now, so probably you can kind of briefly talk about the latest additions to Hodge, what's been interesting, what's been good. I know that there's a lot of stuff, so you had your first voting on the 2nd of March, which is huge, I guess.
Yeah, we had a vote. It was really, more like a temperature check just to gauge, get engagement as we've been building our DApp. And our DAO, and really the DApp is that mechanism, to align a community of about 100,000 investors across 5 different blockchains to have one balanced mechanism to participate in being this community driven project. And so that was like the first iteration of simply engaging the community in this process. And in a dream state of maturity, I'd say here the latest by the end of March or May, by the end of May, our DApp will be here, if not sooner. So it's really exciting when an ideation, here a year later, nearing the realistic finish line of creating a truly decentralized autonomous organization, we're there. And it's not like we have VC funds, right? Or a war chest or all this buttoned up enterprise, operationalized team that gets a W 2. You invest your time because you're here building a part of the future and, being a frontline pioneer. And so you really have to see the bigger picture. So sometimes that creates real challenges, but it's all part of the process. And despite it all, We're over a year old. We have an incredible amount of deployed projects and tech stack from the HOGE Aerospace Institute to HOGE University. We now have the HOGE Accelerator program, right? And that
Wow.
is a blockchain career preparation program. And it comes from members of the community that have a successful business in aligning professionals for a blockchain based career and then placing them, because right now the demand outweighs the supply in qualified human capital. And this is the world and decade of Web3. And so HR people to graphic designers, all the way to like developers and coders, right? There's opportunity all over the blockchain. And so this program allows our community to take their hobby, their creative interests in memeing business, what they've done in our ecosystem, and say, hey, you know what? I want to take this to the professional level. I don't want to just invest in HOGE. I want to invest in myself. And HOGE in its ecosystem provides me the tools and resources to do just that. And so that's what this program will do, is prepare people to get their resume, their networking, their channels buttoned up, their storytelling process, go through a program through HOGE University, complete that program, receive their non-fungible certificate, so they're a graduate. We have Only NFTs, our own platform, pure DeFi NFT platform coming out soon. They'll get it through there, and then we'll place you at a job, recruitment style and placement style. So it's a beautiful new project. And we're going to space too. HOGE Aerospace Institute. I mean, we got a lot going on these days. It's really exciting. And then for fun and entertainment, we're still finalizing everything here. But we got one superstar here. We got Joe here, soccer superstar. Good to see you, my man. The HOGE Cup's coming. And the HOGE Cup really is a fun event to give back, but it's experiential. Single elimination, FIFA soccer, March Madness style, teams of two, soccer stars, celebrities teaming together, battling, live streamed on Twitch, some FIFA soccer, a nice Genesis NFT collection for everyone that participates at the HOGE Cup, showcasing every player, layers of unlockable content and attached value above and beyond the NFT. And at the end of the day, it's all to bring awareness to the charitable organizations that all of these players, invest their time into, because we're here to give back. And so we can have fun, give a humanizing experience in a socially distanced, COVID-fueled world, and at the same time, give back. And let all the players dip their toes in the world of Web3, full turnkey service to understand NFTs from ideation to implementation. And now having our own native NFT platform, Only NFTs, we got a real home field advantage here to empower and provide immediate impact, back to these superstars as well.
You've been really busy. It sounds like a lot of stuff. I don't know. I got lost for a moment about like all the things that you were doing, and all of them sound honestly amazing. Actually, I wanted to ask a little bit more about the program, about the teaching, because it's very interesting, because obviously I have a career in blockchain, so it started somewhere and it started out kind of painfully because nobody was there to teach me, but it seems like you're going to kind of solve this issue. So how does the acceleration program work? So anybody can kind of come in and be a student there, or is it kind of like, I don't know, for a specific area, or like are there any limitations, or like literally for everybody who wants to join the blockchain space?
Yeah, that's a great question. And really, we have our live Twitter spaces that we had the first one a couple Wednesdays ago, and that went over the basics of buttoning up. The second one is this Wednesday, 11 a.m. Pacific time, and anyone can join those. And as this is the second one, we've been pretty organic about it. We've been for the past few weeks with Nicholas, the guy who's the community leader, and his team, putting together the course. And right now, these Wednesday sessions are really just to introduce the program, cover some of the bullet points. And I would say, before the end of this month, the standard program will be readily available. And so people can go through that course in HOGE University and then grab their certificate on Only NFTs. And we'll have the placement program built out. So it'll be really exciting to have our first graduate and our first actual HOGE community member be placed in a career job. And it's for everyone and anyone. I mean, that's what we are. We're the creators ecosystem, and in a very exclusive industry, we're inclusive. We understand, you have to figure it out, and you got to have fun while you're doing it. So if you can have fun and empower yourself, we call that memeing business. We're all about it.
That's great words. I want to join in. If you ever need like a marketing specialist who can talk about marketing and like teach some tricks, probably like I'm so up for it.
How about
That's
you
gonna
join
be
us?
exciting.
How about you join us this Wednesday, 11 a.m., and we talk about your experience? You were in a very similar boat and you made that transition. I think it would be a very powerful and humanizing moment to showcase someone who's been through the process. If you're open, we'd love
Yeah,
to
I'm
have you.
so into it. Yeah, of course.
All right, great.
Sure.
You heard it here first. An exclusive special, StealthEX Wednesday, will be joining us on the HOGE Accelerator program, 11 a.m.
That's
Pacific.
so exciting.
Oh,
Thank you
man.
very much.
Hey, thank
That's
you.
really, really cool.
I mean, but that's
I hope that I can be of some use.
no, you can. I mean, that's really the point, right? All jokes aside, it's really valuable because, you immediately gravitated towards this program and related to it. You've been through an experience. It piqued your natural interest. And I think that the situation and the path that you took, which I don't fully know yet, and I look forward to learning about, is exactly where a lot of people stop. They have that ideation, but as I said, it's an exclusive looking industry, and it's hard to go below the surface, when you don't know something. I get that. So you can help bridge that gap and showcase firsthand, your experience and process. And I think it would be a really great time on the show. So I look forward to it.
Thank you, thank you. So it's not only an interview, but it's kind of like a preview. Okay, going back for today, that's it for StealthX promos and my personal promos. But thank you for this moment of glory. But actually, I really been meaning to ask you about the DAO. So how what was the kind of your transition? So how is it different the way you work now? Is it kind of like less complex, more complex? Is the system kind of different while you make this kind of organic transition into this like voting system and so on?
Well, look, the system that we have now, right? If I can sum it up, I'd say like a hybrid DAO, right? We're in the making to the full like mature DAO, and where we're at now, of course, there always needs to be optimizations. We have to be nimble, but one thing's for sure. I mean, we are the epitome of pure DeFi, and we are a truly community-driven, managed and maintained project. And I say that because as we're trying, and in the last 4 weeks, really being been able to make decisions or and push forward and put things to a vote, engage interest. Everyone has a voice, and everyone has an opinion, and no matter what they are, they're all heard. And so when they're all heard at the same time, right? It can be a bit chaotic. I call this like maybe, or I don't call it, but someone had called it the chaotic confederation, and I really, really subscribe to that. But that whole moment of us figuring it out every day, whatever the new challenge or decision is. I mean, I'm a little extreme, but that's the part I'm really grateful for because we are truly the front line pioneers here trying to figure it out. And it's not like, hey, it's going to be a breeze like a light switch. It's going to be smooth. No, it's real and raw, and we're going through it. But one way or another, we always find a way to get to the next day. We passed our year birthday, multiple deployed projects, creators ecosystem. I mean, if it's one thing that's undeniable, it's that in the last year, HOGE continues to spread everywhere.
Yeah, that's definitely true. So how does the voting work right now? Is it kind of on chain, or do you do some kind of like I haven't actually checked the Reddit post that you have reposted on Twitter that said about the voting, but how do you perform it right now?
Yeah, and that's what's great, right? Because this is like the sandbox in our hybrid DAO to finalize the way, that voting will look in the hybrid format. What I can tell you is that in, its final iteration, the DApp will cover that, and they're going through that process so that it can be nimble enough to, like adapt if a vote needs to be weighted or one vote per wallet. And right now, leading up to that process, concurrently, we're testing a number of like voting ways out with our community socially on Reddit through snapshots. And I would say, much like the game of poker, there's not one right answer or one wrong answer. It's all about, putting it out there, owning it, testing it, seeing what works, getting community feedback, and then going with the most efficient solution that works best. And that's the process, right? And that's the fun. And I'm not here to say we've got it all figured out, but I am here to say we have all the actionable minds that are intent on figuring it out. And that's the hardest part normally.
Yeah, but you're trying different formats. That's kind of like normal when you try to find the kind of the path that you want to pursue. Try this, try that, and then kind of like make a decision. So that's perfectly organic. How does the community feel about the transition actually?
Well, I mean, the community is not one person. So, right, there are opinions that are colorful all over, right? I think at the end of the day, if I had to take a step back, I think there's one thing that, our entire community can align on, and it's figuring this system out so that, people understand that right now your voices are really heard, whether they're positive energy, negative energy, confident ignorance, or just plain old, knowledge, whatever it might be. But at the end of the day, everybody wants to have one, like way that everybody agrees with and aligns with to make those decisions. And I think that we are really nearing that finish line. In white paper ideation over a year ago, it was for this to build a DAO. And here we are a year later, and the dev team that's behind the scenes and everybody that are complementing that are really making a lot of progress. And to me, realistically, here, like I said, end of May, it'll be here. So it's exciting, and there's still questions, right? We're still figuring it out. But one thing's for sure, we have been pushing forward, and it's in a very, very solid place, to get there here, in time for like summer 2022. You know what I mean?
How far are you planning actually right now? So what would be the next steps in this, both in the transition and in general, kind of the roadmap?
Right. So, I mean, look, when we're creating projects and we're deploying, if we're talking about like hard planning and being transparent here, like realistically, it's about having, 2.5 quarters planned out. But when we're talking about the overarching, strategy and phases and evolution of HOGE, we're looking at 1 year out, 2 years out, 5 years out. I'm a bit extreme and even thinking about plays that hit at 10 years. And in a world of scratch off ticket mindsets and, this early industry, it's hard for people to take that and think it's not, like LARPing, but it's the little things that make the biggest difference. And we have a lot of minds that think beyond today and tomorrow. And as it relates to reality, it's for me and my sanity, it's about having at least a couple quarters of like solid pieces planned out, and how they're executed always remains to be seen. That's the process, but it's the journey, right? The journey of life, the journey of HOGE, the journey of opportunity.
So true. Actually, how do you feel about the space in, like, I don't know, 10 years? I never think about 10 years perspective. Like 10 years seem to be such a long time when everything changes like literally every day and nothing is super stable, especially with the recent events with both like economically and politically and everything. Not gonna get deep into that because that's like a hole where everybody can drown, especially considering that I'm from Europe. But uh yeah, like 10 years is like I'm not sure that everybody gonna stay alive in 10 years. So like how do you feel about the space and what do you think is gonna happen and where do you think Hodge will be in whole this ecosystem in 10 years? That's a big question.
Yeah, no, hey, thanks for that, Whopper. I haven't had my espresso yet, but it's all good. No, I'm kidding. To be honest, right? Like life goes by so fast. I got two kids. And I just like when they're them being alive, they're 4 and 6. It really like shows me how fast life goes. And so when we're talking about a decade, and of all decades, this is the decade of decades in the history of like humans, period, and our society evolution. Because this is the, as people have said, it's known, right? The biggest transfer of wealth happens this decade. But if you really like take that headline out, what I see is the evolution of a blockchain based society. One system, one arena for everyone to communicate on, to store their earned wealth, to send and receive things, not just money, but products, services, certificates of authenticity. I mean, this is not a world of needing to be an accredited investor, right? Or have this much liquidity to be able to participate in something. Whether you're the unbanked farmer in Africa or you're the billionaire hedge fund guy in Silicon Valley, everyone has one system to play on and gets their shot. And I think if we take a step back, right, and we see what happened with GameStop, and Wall Street bets, what that showcased to me was one way of thinking, the old traditional business world, and maybe these elites, scoffing at the $5 and $10 investors on a social media platform that could overthrow them, and the decentralized anonymous world all banding together on exactly what an incredible power a social media platform can be, especially with COVID and everybody in front of their digital screens, and that those people aligning together in unity and their increments of investment right, can work together as a community and win, except if they have the pause button and it's a rigged system. So this decade is going to showcase that in a mature way. You're going to see that transfer happen, that evolution. It's happening before our eyes every single day, whether people choose to see it or not. The big box retailers, the enterprise level businesses, they're all getting ingrained on the blockchain. And in a world of Web3, where you can definably own a piece of digital content, the rights to it, the royalties, forget trusted, centralized third parties. That's what smart contracts do. More efficient. You don't have to know the person. You don't have to trust the person. So by the end of this decade, you're going to see the stock market will be tokenized probably by the middle of this decade. You're going to see people no longer needing centralized banks. You go get your loan in DeFi, which you can do today, but very few people take advantage of. Mind you, like auto servicing loans that pay themselves back, no mortgage. Hello. And, today's day and age, you go to Wells Fargo, and I say this a million times, I sound like a broken record. The savings accounts are 0.02%, right? And in today, you can go get like Anchor Protocol, that flat 19.5%. I don't care what anyone says about the war chest. Do Kwon's a real one, and that's been stable for a year. So by the end of the decade, you're going to see that at such an operationalized level. Whether I like it or not, the blockchain is becoming corporatized as well. And so we're going to see the evolution in this decade of our entire world and everything that we do, the intimate parts of our life, in terms of getting up and looking at our phones and our watches and going to work and buying things. It's all going to operate on the public ledgers, and everyone's going to be on one playing field. And as one species and one planet, that's how it was supposed to be. So we're going to watch that happen in reality. And it's going to happen a lot faster than you think. 10 years is quick. And HOGE, listen, HOGE will be here, right? We are, whether people realize it or not, the Microsoft of memes. We mean business. And if I want to be serious about it, memes are a universal way to communicate with people, no matter what language you speak. You can look at them. They elicit humor. They elicit an emotion. They tell a message, and people understand them universally. And when that catches up, as we start to see businesses and corporations leverage them in their advertisements, in their audience engagement, people are going to catch up to where we're at. HOGE will be everywhere, empowering people every day, here to give back in a profit-driven, industry. And we will be the undisputed, inevitable Microsoft of memes. Too few for now, inevitable for later.
That sounds really, really strong. And actually, I like your predictions. They're very optimistic in many ways. The only thing that I'm kind of like fearful of every day that, yeah, like blockchain is definitely getting way more popular than it used to be as a technology, as currency, as everything, as a solution in general. And there are ways to bring it into businesses. There are ways to bring it into personal life. More and more people are interested in it in general, but there's always this thought is like, what if the governments get really hostile about it? Because it's not super good for like the traditional finance system when you think about it. And if it's not incorporated well, so if we don't have like some kind of like a merge in between governmental structures and blockchain solutions, then they don't really go that well together. And this is something that is always kind of like on the back of my head, and it's always like like something can go wrong. What do you think about it?
Well, I mean, I think that there's been the traditional centralized, world of finance. I mean, there are two things that control people, right? Religion and money, right? That's why we go to work, because we want that purse or we want this thing, and we go the speed limit. We don't want a ticket. We don't want to go to jail, right? But the point is that the current system of today, there needs to be a change. I mean, in North America alone, we're at our highest inflation rate in over 30 years. Printed half the money supply in the last couple years, 2-3 years. I mean, right there alone, why everyone in our entire country isn't up in arms, is beside me. But I'm not here to lose my sanity. I'm here to focus on the things that I can control to make an impact on that. But those are huge red flags. And so my point is, regardless of whether or not blockchain is the answer, it is absolutely the next iteration, the evolution, the public ledgers. And like any system, it will need to be refined and matured. I mean, we're still early in a world where you can, stake your Bitcoin and earn a yield, or have these, like the fold card here, and earn, Bitcoin sats with every purchase. We're early. If that's digital gold, the most sound store of value, you're not earning a yield on it. You're not like spinning for Bitcoin sats. So we're still early. We still got, some time here, but it's inevitable. And outside of North America, you see other monetary policies that have been ruined, by mismanagement. I'm not here to name names, but it's everywhere, like HOGE everywhere. And so it's inevitable that the blockchain world is going to be here and there will be challenges and problems, but it's a much better system to start on, and it will be refined with time. And in a decentralized blockchain world, the community overall, right, manages it, maintains the system, evolves it. And DAOs will be everywhere. It'll be, forget the word corporation, it'll all be DAOs. That's what they are, except, the officer level at the top, has all the power today. Whether or not you get that, you have that stock and get your vote in the mail, that's all bullshit. Oh, excuse me, that's BS. And, the DAOs will really be that equality part. If you're part of this, business and this DAO, your vote matters and has a say. And we're going to watch that all play out and refine itself over this next decade. And we're already in 2022. So, if I was a gambler, which I am, I would say that by the middle of this decade, by the end of summer 2025, right, the stock market will be fully tokenized. You have diluted shares and all this games, and Citadel like forcing Robinhood to hit the pause button or destroy their IPO, but I think their stock's like not doing great. I mean, these are all reasons of a need for change. And I don't know exactly what the end all be all answer is, but the logical next step is the world of blockchain.
Ah, true. DAOs are also very useful because they're fair. Well, they are useful for people who want to be fair. That's a very good, actually logical correction, because some people just don't. But if we want a fair system, then DAO is really a good decision. So, like, no matter on which level, whether it be business, whether it be government, whether it be just a community of people doing the same thing, then DAO actually serves a great purpose. And yeah, there is something to think about here, definitely. Like what's gonna I'm gonna take my time thinking of what we're gonna be like in 10 years. I think I've never done it in my life, like, ever. On this note, actually, I have one question to you that's more organizational than anything else, because we have a request here to speak. Will we be taking questions from everybody who is here?
You're asking me if I will be on your
Yeah,
show?
sure.
Hey, yeah, you're the boss. This is your show. I'm here to speak the HOGE gospel and answer questions that are here. So absolutely, that sounds great.
I like to be fair as well, so I'm always asking, what if you don't want it? Then okay, we have CVO Wes here, who can speak right now, who's been there for a very long time, not able to speak because we were speaking. Hi, hello. Oh, did you actually want to say something, or did you just press it randomly?
It
Hi,
usually takes a minute.
I'll say something. I'm just a guest scrolling upon. I was a previous employee, 4 years at the Federal Reserve Bank, handling money, been in buildings with billions of dollars of cash, and understanding the insides and outs of the Web 2 age, the traditional banker finance age of finance, and how that is used to shape global policy. And so, heavy investor in crypto, I think everything that you guys are preaching is very true. But there is also a stage of euphoria. Like, oh, this is a great safe haven. But to my question is, to Hodge's point, there's a tipping scale. Does everyone investing in crypto understand the previous uh, the previous world of finance and how that was conducted? Do you understand institutional money, right? And now that the United States has introduced into institutional adoption, etc., do you understand or have a consensus of how institutional dollars will be conducted within the blockchain space? And so I come to it as a tipping point because many people see blockchain cryptocurrency, Bitcoin, as a safe haven. But at the same time, do you understand the history of blockchain? Do you know about getting 51% attacked from a proof of work frame point talking about Bitcoin? Do you know about Ethereum getting 51% attacked and what happened with that? You know what I mean? So are we bulls I'm a very American in the sense of the word. Are we the Navajo Indians, or are the institutions of Navajo Indians leading us Buffalo to a running to a space of freedom, but in reality we jump off of a cliff to our death? Because
Right.
what is great about blockchain, it can go either very good or very bad. Blockchain is great. It gives us our own sovereignty. It gives us our own freedom to conduct finance within our fellow individuals, community, etc. What we also love about blockchain is everything stored on the blockchain is permanent. And what the bankers do love, I mean, these motherfuckers have funded entire wars, have funded entire countries. I won't get into that. What they love and what they would love is to continue to track and monitor every citizen or every sovereign human being within their finances, continuing to work for the dollar, etc. It's a shame that we continue to still see Bitcoin as its value in the dollar. There's a reason for that. Think about that. But what I will
Hey,
say,
let's just get back into the question for now because we're gonna run out of time if we just keep ranting about the governments. Fortunately, we're not here only for that. Thank you very much for the question. So now I'm just gonna give
can I
the
finish my
floor.
point? What I will say is ultimately my question is, how do you balance that, right? You understand that there will be institutional adoption, but then there also is the power of, blockchain for each, sovereign individual to do their finance. There are secret coins. There are people, in the future, I imagine it won't be like cash where you can conduct commerce on a personal level. Everything will be on the blockchain, right? So how do you continue to have freedom in a world where cryptocurrency continues to get regulated by what exactly we're trying to get away from? And I'll step out.
Thank you for
Yeah,
the
no,
question.
definitely. Yeah, very concise. No, but it was good points and a lot of good thoughts, man. And look, I'm not the expert here to tell you that, like I said, the blockchain is the end all be all and the solution. I mean, yeah, these are public ledgers, so there is a sense of 1984 to it, of course, especially as the blockchain gets more corporatized. But right now, like 100 years ago, the cowboys in the Wild Wild West are mining for physical gold. 100 years later, we're mining for digital gold. This is the wild, wild west of the mature blockchain world. And a lot of the things that you pointed out are things that are going to have to be figured out. And it's not going to be smooth. It's not going to be easy every step of the way. But one thing's for sure, that the people that have been playing the game and the way they've been playing it, that clock is ticking away. This is that change. And how that solidifies remains to be seen. We are all the frontline soldiers, pioneers of this decade that will set the foundation for the next 300 to 600 years. This is so much bigger than simply cryptocurrency or using blockchain as a bank. This is the technology that will take us, as a human species, to that truly digital age for hundreds of years and operate in a multitude of ways that we can't even conceive. So we're early. Yes, it's all public ledgers and there are pain points that are going to happen. But hey, it is up and it needs to be figured out. And thank God we have people that aren't afraid to be on that front line, be first through the door and figure it out. That is the process.
Actually, there was a very good point mentioned as well because many people right now, this where I live, I'm from Lithuania, so that's very close to the conflict zone right now, are thinking about getting into Bitcoin, getting into Ethereum, getting into any sort of crypto to as a safe haven. So this is what was mentioned actually in the question. And what do you think about the general idea of anything as a safe haven? Because when I used to be a kid, it used to be dollar because we didn't have euro back then. So that used to be a currency that everybody would buy. And right now it's Bitcoin. So what do you think about this perspective in general?
Yeah, absolutely. I get this a lot. And the easiest and most simple way that I'm able to analogize it and find that connection is this. Think about, I'll qualify them as the blue chips, right, of the industry, Bitcoin and Ethereum, if you want to be simplistic. Without those two, there is no, market. They are the end all be all. Dominance is still there. It is what it is. It's early. And so if you are in life, you go through it, you have car insurance, right? You have health insurance. Some people have life insurance. I say to people, you look at Bitcoin, you look at Ethereum like money insurance. And when you buy insurance, it's not like you spend every last dollar you have and FOMO into insurance. No, you get a good plan in case, you got to break glass in case of emergency, and you cover yourself. And I look at Bitcoin and Ethereum in this instance, right, as monetary policy insurance should, the Federal Reserve and our monetary system go to shit. Like, if there were signs like highest inflation rate in 30 years, looking at our debt, right, watching the middle class be decimated every day, to me, those are red flags, and I got to have some insurance. So very simplistically, get your insurance and continue to move on with the glass half full in life and hope for the best. But cover yourself just in case.
Yeah, fair enough. And is there a financial mission in HOGE actually that to become some asset like that, or is it different than Bitcoin and Ethereum as we understand them currently, not like as a smart contract platform or like Bitcoin as, don't know, some trading medium, but in an asset?
Right. So look, the great thing is that, in a community-driven project managed and maintained, there are going to be a bunch of opinions, on what HOGE is in those regards. So I can only speak on it really from my experience and perspective. And to me, HOGE is so multi-layered. The least of it, in my opinion, right, is the investment aspect financially, where you can buy the token, right, and sit on the investor sideline, hope and pray for the best, go boom. To me, HOGE is so much bigger than that. HOGE is a brand, and it will be a symbol of opportunity, empowerment, resources, for the people. I mean, we are the people's coin in that respect that, the people that have built this project and deployed, the tech stack and our ecosystem have built these projects and these protocols coming from experience and pain points and not having the ability to do X, Y, or Z. And HOGE has so many layers to it. The creative aspect, right? And only NFTs, being able to take graphic designers and artists and give them a fair and open environment to test, the world of Web3 and NFT creativity. Then you have, the HOGE Aerospace Institute, and you got Dr. Joseph Niehaus, this water scientist in space. His brain is just incredible, right? And he's leveraging HOGE and going into space, their CubeSats, in less than a year to go mine space data, which is an industry that is truly untapped, like a $6 billion industry no one's really going after. And I'm not, like the scientist and understand it on too deep a level, but essentially, the way I look at it is you got the cloud, you store your data. This is like some space data, like some cloud data on steroids, right? But a huge industry that in maturity and maybe a bit ahead of its time, much like HOGE, people will be out there grabbing that space data. And then people have their little boxes, kind of like you mine for Bitcoin, but for this space data at home. So it's a piece that they can earn, a yield and some type of upside on there. And that's just it. Like HOGE is so many things, the least of which is something that you simply invest on and hope for the best. But in maturity, with the current tokenomics, the way that they are in this moment, right? That's something that as HOGE survives and a deflationary currency, right, appreciates in value. And really what dictates that value is what we have in our ecosystem. It's value. It's undeniable use case, much less necessity to function in life, to have your daily life, whatever it might be, personal, professional, financial, operate a bit smoother, a bit more efficiently, a bit more upside. And so I never want to have HOGE put in one box of, this scarce asset or this NFT platform. HOGE is everywhere and HOGE is everything. And that's what we will be, in that dream state.
You do have the hashtag that says HOGE everywhere, so that's kind of like sums up the idea here. So you kind of perceive it as this kind of ecosystem and a platform to kind of empower people, the community, and be like everything. like a little bit of everything here, there. Like you have the Aerospace Institute. That's insane. That's like, why do you have so many things going on? Do you think it's the people that are the biggest investment in your platform, actually?
Absolutely. I mean, for us, the ecosystem, HOGE, really, it's all about the community culture, right? And it goes through ebbs and flows, but it's a family. And when that, culture, that environment, how we, communicate with each other, respect one another, do projects, stay accountable, right? That defines what HOGE is. And so it's ever changing. But that's the beauty of it, is that you can truly, if you take a step back, be looking at a project like ours that's ever changing, right? And defined by the community, and watching, the iterations of change, in thesis and project and priorities and pillars. That's us going through the process of figuring it out in maturity. And, the one commonality in all these iterations and all these changes, that these are projects that are here to empower and give back. That is one, ethos of HOGE that has maintained since its inception, outside of like the Ruggers that did it and then the community came together, but we don't got time for that. The point is, right, that HOGE is really here to empower, give back, and demystify the most incredible innovation in the history of like humankind, period. And it's just like the education gap is ridiculous, and the headlines in the media over the past 12 plus years have been less than favorable, right? It's all blockchain, much like HOGE, underrespected, underappreciated, maybe even laughed at, but now everyone's taking a second look. And make no mistake about it, at least here in North America, that DeFi bill is chugging along. January 2023 will be here, lobbying is going on, and all the things that HOGE gets overlooked for, right? Like never people pay attention to, like the actual real deployed tech stacks, outside of like influencers shilling a project to create a generation of ignorant bag holders, right? That game's almost over. And when that game wears off and the maturity sets in, our foundations are so deep, that they go to the other side of the world. And it's okay that nobody at scale really understands that, appreciates that, because the people that are here day in and day out, they get it and they act with that intention. And that's something that is just remarkably different at scale than the entire industry. And so it's going to be pretty hard to lose. We just don't necessarily always quantify it the same way that everybody else, normally does. And that's okay. That's actually, an advantage in my book.
How do you get new people in? So definitely there are the ones that want to join the blockchain space or haven't even thought about it, but you mentioned like graphic designers, for example, that could do NFTs, but maybe did not think about it yet. So do you have some kind of like basic education course as well, like as a part of your education program, not only like professional, so like how to be a marketing specialist in crypto, but to be a good marketing specialist in crypto, at least in my humble opinion, then you need to know at least something about cryptocurrency and blockchain and how does it all work and like why does it matter? Do you have the same kind of perspective? So at first basics and then everything else?
Yeah, and that's just it, right? That's where our projects has come from, understanding that gap. That's where HOGE University came from, right? And it's still in its early days, right? But, understanding that, hey, just take a step back. People need some, deeper DeFi education, some blockchain education. So to make that a reality, focus on what we can impactfully control, and that is create a website, create this video content that takes you through some of the basics, how to stake, how to buy, how to swap, what is a swap, what are cold storage wallets, all these pieces, right? And so that's been built and put out there, and more courses, will be segmented and in more detail, not just like you're saying, like marketing, but like maybe specifics, SEO, targeted email, branded content, right? And for in a dream state, as we build this, HOGE Accelerator program out, and it complements the courses and content that will be posted on HOGE University, that's where the community pops in. And how do we get more people to come to it is, we're on these AMAs and we find you as a guest on Wednesday. We speak the HOGE gospel. We have our AMAs every Monday or Friday, whether people appreciate them or not, we're there. And so the one thing we don't generally operate on, right, and me being a digital marketing guy, right, is a paid media budget. And that's a pretty standard thing that you have in industry. But, where we're at now, I mean, we at one time rose to over $400 million in market cap without a dollar of paid media. And, a few months ago, we were over 300 million. If you look at the chart and take a step back, the chart will show that there is a fight in this dog, okay? And we're cracking it. We're trying to figure it out, and we will. And it's not about how we make that price go up, but those indicators of that fight, and when we hit those numbers, showcase, when we're making that connection. And we're still testing. We're still figuring it out, but we're making progress. No one ever said it was going to be easy. As I said before, changing the world never is. And we have people that truly believe that. I myself am absolutely one of them. And thank God, because if you go into this thinking, oh shit, I can't do it, the ceiling's right there, what am I thinking? That's ridiculous to say. You've already lost. And we are the unreasonable thinkers, not here to adapt to the blockchain world, the industrial world, but to take that blockchain world that has no thought leaders or go-to-market acumen and adapt it to ourselves, adapt it to HOGE. And we'll figure it out, and we'll fail in the process, and we'll be proud of it, because that's the only way that you make progress. You can't be afraid to push forward. You can't be afraid to make a mistake. Life's too short. There's not enough time for that.
I love your energy. Like, actually, I relate to this position a lot because, like, when I started out in crypto, everything was very scary. But then you kind of realize that it's really it's not worth it to be so nervous in many cases and like so reluctant and so hesitant. Actually, I probably was meaning to start with this question that I have in mind right now, but somehow I didn't. Like, never mind. And how did you start? How did you start in HOGE and in blockchain? And because your energy is amazing and I can feel it. And how do you keep going with the same strong energy?
Well,
We all need that.
Yeah, I'll try and keep it simple. I mean, I found Bitcoin through my love of the game of poker, which I identified as a player for a long time. And through numbers and equity and game theory, I found the world of blockchain. And when I found the world of blockchain back in 2016, was when I first started. I didn't have this HOGE community. There wasn't as much content out there. DeFi was called open finance. And I was insatiated with the numbers, with understanding this public ledger, with understanding yield and staking an asset, and became obsessed. And that's just how my mind goes. I love the game of chess. I like to figure it out. And let me tell you, I made every mistake in the book, every mistake. I mean, I could write a book on how not to get into blockchain and invest, right? That's, jokes aside, it's the truth. But that's just me, right? I'm all in, for better, for worse. I truly believe that failing is part of the process because I learned from it. But through that, right, it took me, I'd say a few years, 2.5 years. I'd say like early 2019, I really started to figure it out and stop making the same mistakes. And from there, right, the industry, at least in my segment, right, of the Twitter spaces, not even there, but like the Twitterverse and the Reddit world, there's a lot more. And even YouTube, you got to watch out for all those bullshit shill videos. But there's good information below the surface. And then communities were popping up. And then, seeing HOGE, right? At first I gave it like, I looked right past it. I was a traditional investor at that point, not into meme coins. Luna was the truth, and everyone said I was crazy. It was like 30 cents, 60 cents. I'm like, guys, they're trying to build cryptocurrency. They're not effing around here. They're just not trying to do anything stupid. Like, they say the system's messed up. Here's a new one. But when I overlooked HOGE, I had a friend, that was really into it. And he's like, you got to take a second look. I'm like, it already mooned. Everyone on Twitter's talking about it. Didn't realize they didn't have $1 of paid media. They just commanded such a powerful share of voice in the culture that's what it elicited. It wasn't the standard, like, throw a ton of money behind it and have every influencer staggered so you can like artificially create that moment. And then I took a look at the site and I saw DAO in the making, hybrid DAO, and that I'm always about a decentralized business, where community and people work together and actually have a say. And as soon as I saw DAO, I jumped into the world of HOGE, saw where it was at, and saw what it was doing and became intoxicated. And, I'm the type of guy that says life's too short and take every shot I can. And, I was a digital marketing guy focused on the cannabis industry and gambling. And I love emerging verticals that have a tough time getting their fair shake. And, seeing HOGE and seeing some gaps in going to market or an acumen and that they don't have like a war chest. I like to be creative and make NFTs at night, right? So I made a crazy NFT. I thought I was like the most talented guy in the world. Little did I know. And sent a Twitter DM saying, hey guys, take my NFT and donate it. Like, have an auction, keep all the money. And if you want, I'll be your NFT guy. I'll make some NFTs and we can raise money that way. Also, I do digital marketing. If you ever want some insight or an audit, let me know. And the guy at the other end was Jay Rocco, the guy who actually came up with HOGE Everywhere. And, Rocco being the guy that he is, responded back to me in some spam DM. I mean, I didn't even have Twitter. I was not that guy. I would always look at the news, but I never did that. And one thing led to another, and had a conversation with him, got brought in, thought I was just helping out on marketing. And it just became a family. It became so much more, and it's changed my life. And, the price of HOGE will never change that. It's immutable what's happened since then. And I'm humbled and grateful to be here and understand that life is a gift. It could end at any second. I could go out in the car, go pick my kid up from school, get hit, right? But I don't think like that. I think the glass is half full, but I also don't ignore it. I'm cognizant of time and how valuable it is, way more valuable than the, failing fiat dollars in our bank accounts, than your credit score mattering. That's all a facade. And so that's why I guess I sound the way I do. It's pretty simplistic. I just thank God, the one positive thing I have in perspective is understanding how short life is, because I'm not a thing guy. I'm not, here to like stack dollars or stack, cars or any of that. I'm here to enrich the short time that I have on this earth, and be ingrained and try and leave it a better place than the way I came into it. Too few people authentically go after that. And that's what drives me.
Those are some great words. Actually, I think that many of us right now need this kind of like encouragement and probably a little bit of advice on how to keep going, because sometimes the world just seems a mess, honestly. For me, it used to be for like, I don't know, the past couple weeks, and sometimes the words of personal experience and like this positive attitude to keep going really kind of get it much better. So thank you very much for these words. As kind of like a final note, I'm going to accept the request that CVO West wants to have once again. Probably there is one more question, and then I believe that we should be wrapping up already because you have the next session coming up. Am I right? Right?
Yep, I went through 2 glasses of water. I'm staring at 1.5 slices of cold pizza, and I've got about 8 minutes. So, yeah.
Okay, I hope that you're gonna be okay on the next one. So right now I'm accepting the speaking request. Just a little note that please let's make it a little shorter because like Hayden needs to go to his next session. Thank you.
Hey, thank you for just giving the patience for the platform. I've been listening to everything that Hoj has said. I apologize if I mispronounced your name. But Hoj, man, it seems like a great project. It's getting me very geared up. It's nothing that I've heard before. But I'm just asking, right? I look at things from a very holistic perspective. So within the NFT marketplace, the crypto marketplace, yes, it does give people the ability to rally behind their communities. And in this marketplace, it is the most volatile marketplace. It is a 24-hour marketplace, with which government sanctions. I mean, it's the Wild West for all better words. I'm asking, I just have a question to where, yes, you are rallying behind the community, but what values do you have, right? In the NFT space, with the discords, with everything, everybody is community focused, right? There have been super uber community focused. We love all of you. We want your input. Fucking rug pull. Fucking rug pull on fucking rug pull. Excuse my language, but I love your intake and I know you're someone of value to be on this space. What sets you apart as far as community? We have the technology.
Yeah,
You know what I'm saying? Like this is the real question. And I know you're gonna answer
ab-
this and own this. But this is gonna give everyone listening, you know what I'm saying? This is gonna give everybody listening that Hoj is the real one. You know what I mean? So I just want to give you that space.
yeah, no, and thanks, man. I mean, honestly, like everybody does speak community, and really, community in the culture makes or breaks a project, And so everyone's trying to create that authentic community. But what HOGE has done, for better or for worse, is started this project in a way that really brings the community in together. And what I mean by that is not like we held on to any of our supply. Like day one, 100% of the supply that's available is out there. Half of it was burned, half of it's out there. So when you say, the community's coin, it was out there on Uniswap, right? And people bought it up. We have the flattest wallet distribution in the blockchain game. I believe no one's over like 1 point something percent, 1.5% or below, 1.3. I don't know what it is on any given day. But when you say everyone's a whale at HOGE and everyone has a voice, we haven't had funds to hit the ground running. Everything that's been built is by people connecting, right? And their social platforms and on Telegram and figuring it out. I mean, if you go to our website, hogefinance.com, and scroll down a little bit, you have our origin story. And this started as a rug pull. These scammers, did their 4chan thing and TG thing, got people together, and then rugged it on like day 3 or 4 at like the very bottom. And people looked at themselves and said, wow, we're all these people. Have a great group of minds here. We know who these guys are. Let's go grab that smart contract and let's make this a real community driven project. And so it had like this incredible like start, and to it that really from there, when they banded together, that was when they came together, didn't really understand more than ideation what HOGE was, and went boom to 400 million. And now, right, a year later, we have this deployed tech stack with like the less informed, broader audience in mind. And I won't tap on everything, but as the NFT platform, for example, in the day and age here, and I don't have, our community leader, Recon, who's spearheading this, but what I can tell you is like, you have like your open seas and you think you own that NFT, but where that's stored, on what server, what cloud, it's not yours, right? It's there and it can be taken away. And more or less, that is something that like the audience that's into NFTs every day that's flooding this market doesn't really understand that part, not your keys, not your wallet. Well, there's something there with those NFTs and being on something like an OpenSea. And don't get me wrong, I love OpenSea, I use it, but in understanding that only NFTs, is a world where you actually own your own smart contract. You own the auction. It is truly yours. It is pure DeFi. And that's just a little iteration. We see those things that you're talking about, right? And we try to have an impact on them. And in this NFT marketplace and platform, for example, we tackle that head on. And that's a huge difference that once this industry's honeymoon's off, and make no mistake about it, the NFT world is hitting its boom. I mean, it is honeymooning. It looks like 2017 ICOs with all these scams and, all this BS. But there's a lot of indicators that'll tell you that. If you've been in the game, you can see kind of, engagement and bots and get like a logical perspective on what's real, what's not. And for us at HOGE, right, it's about owning undeniably, your NFT and your smart contract and your auction. And that's the stuff that's going to matter, in an enterprise level industry here that's generating billions and billions every week and month.
Thank you very much for this answer. Probably we're running out of time, so I'm just going to ask like a very last question here. Do you have some probably advice for people who are into crypto now or just starting their ways in crypto? This is kind of like a traditional wrap it up question, or some last words that you want to say, if kind of like meaning to, I don't know, if you mean to encourage or you mean to warn, what will be your message here?
Yeah, and it would be that like where the industry's at now, if you have that interest and you have that inclination, I would say to find the information out yourself, block out, even if you don't know what the word shill is, people that are pushing a token, they could be pushing it for a good reason. But start simplistic. It's got you this far to where you're interested and to put your money where your mouth is. So think about blockchain logically, and in your life and in your profession, what could be run smoother, or how blockchain, I could see, hey, I'm in finance and I see it's like a better way to do banking. So Google like blockchain projects that help with banking. Go find white papers first. Don't find Twitter accounts. Don't find YouTube videos with the most dynamic thumbnail. Do your own critical thinking. Look on Reddit and find white papers. Go on Medium. Start there. Get away from all the bullshit, all the advertising, all the marketing, and think about problems that you can relate to and find, on Google and in Medium, those projects that exist. You'd be surprised. And if you go about it that way, then you don't have these biases and these agendas that, are saturated and everywhere too. I mean, it comes with the territory.
Thank you very much. Actually, that's very true. Like from speaking from personal experience, you have to filter out lots of information and do your own research, definitely. So thank you about reminding everybody of these very basics, and obviously the kind of last words that we're very happy here at StealthEX to support HOGE on our platform. Because if you didn't know, if you're just here to listen to the conversation, we're an instant cryptocurrency exchange and we do support HOGE swaps, and we're really, really happy to work with HOGE, work with your community, and be a host of these lovely events. And we'll be looking forward to actually catching up again on Wednesday. It's so exciting and so unexpected, actually.
I look forward to it. I'll see you on Wednesday, and I'll sync up with you later on this afternoon. It'll be night your time, but we'll talk in the next 24. All right.
Sure. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Take care.